Hey guys, Jordan Schumacher here, and in this video we're going to talk about how to launch an online course to $10,000 or more from scratch. And so if you're going to launch an online course, the very first thing that there's a million things you could do. You could go find affiliate partners to help you promote it. You could attempt to run ads and sell it to cold traffic that way. The reality is, if this is your first course and you're trying to take knowledge or something that you have in your head and then sell it, turn it into a digital product and then sell that, the reality is you're not going to be able to do that to cold traffic. And so this is a topic that I'm fairly proficient in. Not that long ago, I sold my own course from scratch to over $10,000 in less than 30 days to my very small email list of less than 2,000 people. I've managed and been a part of launches where courses were sold for over 500K in a matter of a couple weeks. And so this is a topic that I'm fairly knowledgeable about. And the reality is it's not difficult to do, to create a course and then sell it, launch it to 10K, 20K. It's not difficult to do. It really comes down to math and a numbers game, and it's something that people just try and overcomplicate for various reasons. And so to really do this correctly, and the most efficient way to do this is step one. And my iPad's dead, so we're drawing with the mouse today. Step one, you need to build an audience. There's really no way around this. There's potentially other options. You could potentially partner with individuals, influencers, whoever, who have an audience, and then leverage their audience, their relationship to then sell your course, known as like an affiliate partnership or a JV partnership. The reality is, if this is your first course, you're probably not going to have those relationships, and you have no proof that what you're doing, that you know what you're talking about, that what you're doing works and gets results. And so the reality is that's probably not going to be an option for you. The only other option then, as opposed to building an audience, is to attempt to make sales to cold traffic, and that's just something that almost never works to launch a product. That's how you scale. You scale with ads and cold traffic, and there'll be a bunch of videos around that. I encourage you to check those out. But to launch a brand new product, launching to cold traffic is a terrible idea for a number of reasons. A few of them are, though, you just have no idea what works. And so if, let's say, you come up with this great course idea, how to fix your golf swing in 7 days, right? Making this up off the top of my head. You launch that to cold traffic. When you launch that, all of your variables are unknown. So you have your course itself, really the hook of your course. Do people actually even care about that? You have the audience that you're targeting, and then you have your actual ads and the funnel. And so when you launch all of that and they're all brand new, you have no idea what works. And so it could just be, hey, no one cares about this course. It could be, hey, this audience is not the right target market. And it could be, hey, your ads just suck, your funnel just sucks. And so what we're trying to do here when we launch a course from scratch is we're trying to eliminate as many of those variables and unknowns as we can. And the absolute best way to do that is by launching a brand new product to a small audience of people who already know, like, and trust you, because the reality is they're going to give you a lot of grace, and they're just going to take what you say at face value. They're going to trust you, essentially. They're going to trust that if they give you money, you're going to make it worth their while. And so by building an audience and then launching your new product to that audience, that means that we're only solving for one variable now. And so instead of worrying about, well, is the audience right? Is my funnel and everything else right? By selling a product to this audience here, we are eliminating variables 2 and 3, and we're only focusing on one variable, which is the course. Which means if you try and sell a new course into your own audience and it doesn't work, then you know that the course just really has no chance of scaling to cold traffic if your own audience doesn't want to buy it. And so the first thing that we do then, that I would recommend you do, is to build up an audience. Now there's a million different ways to build up an audience, right? You could blog, start a podcast, you could run ads to some sort of lead magnet. Like, there is a million different ways. I've got another video on content creation. You can go check that out. That's outside the scope of this video. The two ways that I would recommend that personally work for me, that are the lowest effort, that you can absolutely do as a side hustle, spending an hour or two a week, that still have really great organic engagement and still get great results, is two things. One is YouTube, and the other is Facebook groups. Most other, wow, this is rough. You're just going to have to deal with it because, again, my iPad's dead. So YouTube and Facebook groups. Most other channels are highly, highly competitive. So SEO, for example, unless you're just in a very, very niche market, SEO's going to take you too long to get there. Paid traffic getting more and more expensive. Obviously, you need money to do that. That's going to be the quickest way to grow your audience. But again, you need money to do that. Assuming you're kind of bootstrapping this, you don't have unlimited dollars to spend. I would recommend YouTube videos and a Facebook group. Both of those platforms right now still have really great organic distribution, which means new people are going to consistently see the content that you produce. And so what you want to do as you're actually creating your content is simply don't try and create some great content strategy. Don't try and talk to things you don't know. All you're going to do is you're just going to talk about what you're doing and what you've accomplished where you're at now. And so a lot of mistakes that I see people make when they're trying to create content is they have this vision of they've got, let's say you've got Gary Vee and I don't know, Tony Robbins and like, I don't know, Barack Obama, right? You've got these like massive influencers, right, in various industries, niches, spaces. You've got these massive influencers who are talking about whatever it is that they talk about. And then you've kind of got the rest of the market, which are all just over here looking up to them, right? And so when people want to create content, they obviously are paying attention to the content that these massive influencers are talking about, and they're trying to mimic those people, which doesn't work because, one, these people have entire teams of people working with them, working with their content strategy, what they're saying, taking what they're doing and producing it like teams. You clearly don't have those resources. And also, if you try to say the same things as Barack Obama or Gary Vaynerchuk or whoever, it's just not even, it's not going to land because it's just not, it doesn't make sense for you unless you run, a multi-million-dollar business already, or unless you have run a country before. You don't have the same frame of reference as them. And so what happens if you, instead of trying to act like those guys, what happens if you just start to talk about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, the results that you've gotten, the challenges you've faced, and how to overcome them in whatever your profession is? It could be carpentry, it could be gardening, it could be accounting, financial modeling, it could be marketing, like whatever it is. There are assuming there's someone else in the world or a group of people in the world who are doing or trying to do the same things that you're doing, whether it's your profession, a hobby, athletics, skill set, whatever. If you talk about what you're going through and how you're solving those things and the results that you're getting and the progress that you're making, by definition, then you are going to start attracting people who are a step or two behind you, going through those exact same things, and it's 10 times as easy to create the content because you don't have to try and put on this persona of being something you're not. All you're doing is you're just talking about where you're at, what you're doing, how you're solving it. Like this YouTube channel is a prime example of that. I'm shooting this on my iPhone. I have an iPhone, and then I have my computer, which has a webcam on it, and I screen share, and that's 99.9% of my videos. I'm not trying to be pretentious. I'm like, I don't even have additional lights. The lighting on these videos sucks, but like the content's good because I'm just talking about things that I'm doing, things that I've done, and it's adding value to a lot of people who are, 1 step, 2 steps, 10 steps behind me, probably even adding value to people who are 1 step, 2 steps, 5 steps in front of me on whatever that trajectory is for the subject that you're talking about. And so this is a concept known as relative expertise, and it's that you don't need to be the Barack Obama, the Gary Vaynerchuk of your industry. You just need to be a step in front of the majority of the people who follow you. And the great thing about the internet is all of the people are on it. And so by definition, if you've accomplished anything in your field, you're going to be a step ahead of at least a group of people, because in any industry, in any field, there's always people who are looking to learn to break in, learn to get better, starting from complete scratch. And so assuming you're not a complete beginner yourself, and honestly, even if you are a complete beginner, if you talk about that, then that's going to resonate with the other people who are complete beginners. They're going to follow you because that's just human nature. And so slight soapbox there, but all you need to do to actually build up this content is just post a YouTube video a week, and then create a Facebook group and post in there once a week and just talk about what you're going through, how you've solved it. Anytime you get some sort of results, just turn that into a mini case study, right? So how I knocked off 2 strokes off my golf game last week. Here's what I did. Here's the workout regimen that I went through. Here's the training program that I followed. You can do the same thing, right? How I increased my bench max by 30 pounds last month. Here's what I ate. Here's my workout routine. Like, you get the picture. How I cut the amount of time it takes me to set up a leverage buyout financial model in half. Here's what I did. Here's the macros in Excel that I set up. Like, you get the picture. You can apply this to anything at all. So step 1 is building an audience. You're going to do this by starting a YouTube channel and creating a Facebook group. And you're going to just put out content like this once a week. Takes you an hour or 2 a week max until you get to 1,000 members, give or take. This will probably take you a month, maybe 2 months. And what you want to start doing is collecting emails. And so you can create a simple lead magnet. Could just be like typed up PDF notes of one of your videos. Offer people to opt in for that. It could just be a, hey, subscribe. I'm going to start sending out emails. Subscribe to my list to hear from me. Once you get 1,000 emails, which again should not take you that long, maybe a month, maybe 2 months. Now at this point, you're ready to start thinking about selling a course. And so what you want to do is, like, in your Facebook group, you should be, and in the comments of your YouTube videos, you should be engaging with your audience, right? And so they're going to be, as you create content, they're going to be, giving you indications that that's like a high value topic for them. They're going to be talking about the problems that they're having, the pain points that they're facing. And so if you've been sharing what you've been doing, and if you've been authentic to what you've actually been doing and where you're actually at, then because of the way just human interest and interaction and psychology works, by definition, your audience is going to be made up of people who have similar problems to the problems that you've just solved, right? If you're talking about how you solved a problem, then that content is going to attract people who have that problem and are trying to solve it. And so by definition, your audience should be made up of people who are struggling to accomplish something that you have just accomplished, that you have a solution for. And so there could be a number of problems. There could be one, right? Let's go back to the golf analogy. The biggest problem could be drives, could be putts, could be the mid game. I'm not really a golfer. I wish I was. I'm bad at it. So my terminology is probably wrong, but you get the point. And so what you're going to do then is, after you get 1,000 email subscribers, you're going to pick the single highest leverage problem that your audience is facing. So it could be the drive, how to add an extra 40 yards to your drive. Could be putts, could be the mid game, the short game. I don't know. It's going to be whatever that is for your audience. If your audience is made up of financial analysts, it could be cutting the amount of time it takes them to build out financial models in half so that they're more productive and efficient at their jobs. If your audience is business owners, struggling small business owners, it could be how to actually set up profitable marketing campaigns, right? Whatever your audience is, you're going to pick the highest leverage problem that you can solve for them. And then you're just going to send out an email, you're going to send out a Facebook group, have a YouTube video, and you're just going to set up a video call with anyone who's interested, talking about how you can actually solve this problem. And so you're just going to send out a message to your audience, say, hey guys, holding a live video call, this coming Thursday, and I'm going to talk about how you can solve problem in X amount of time. So how you can cut 4 strokes off your golf game in the next 30 days. How you can increase your bench by 45 pounds in the next 2 weeks. Whatever that is, it's how you can solve problem that they want to solve in specified period of time. You can hold this call via Zoom. Zoom's free for up to 45 minutes, which should be plenty of time. I would recommend just using Zoom and give people a link. It's incredibly easy. Again, this is your audience. They know, like, and trust you. You don't have to be overly fancy with this stuff because your audience, they're going to give you grace. And so on the video call then, what you're going to do is you're going to talk about 4 things and 4 things only. So the first, call it 5 to 10 minutes of the call, you're going to talk about the problem and really just show them how much the problem is costing them. So golf game. Hey, you're probably, not as good at golf as you want to be. It's probably embarrassing if you're out at work events and you're the guy that's holding everyone else on your little golf group up, and the people behind you are pissed off at you because you're taking too long and they're asking you to get out of the way, and at a certain point you have to stop letting people play through you because you have to be able to play at some point. And I'm speaking from experience here if you can't tell. It's just a very painful experience if you're not good at golf at all. And so this is incredibly painful. You're going to just talk about whatever that problem is, and you're going to illustrate how much it's actually costing and negatively impacting them. That's for the first 5 to 10 minutes. The second part of the video call, then, you're just going to talk about your story, about how you actually solved that problem. And it's important here that we're focusing on story. You're not going to go into the step-by-step tactics of how to do this. This is something that I've actually really struggled with a lot around creating, videos and content that actually sells and creates an ROI. Is in my head and in most people's heads, it's like, oh, I want to provide massive value, and so I'm just going to go straight into the tactics. The reality is people don't want tactics. People don't consume content for the tactics, for the sterile information. People are consuming content for the stories, the engagement, and frankly for entertainment to some extent. And so it's actually less effective for not only your consumer, your audience, but for yourself from an ROI perspective to try and go straight into the tactics, because people are going to tune out. They're just going to leave because they're not interested in it. It's not exciting, and they're not going to implement it because that's why they weren't there for that reason anyways. People are there for essentially entertainment and a way to escape from the day-to-day, a distraction. So what people are really looking for is stories. They're not looking for step-by-step sterile tactics. That's what your course, your program is for the people who want that. What people are really looking for is stories and a little bit of inspiration. And so what you're going to do on this second part, which is going to be 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to tell the story of how you went from where they were, which is really sucking at the game of golf, struggles you went through, overcame, and now where you're at, which is either being really good at golf or sucking a little bit less at golf. And so it's like, hey, I was in the same place. It was always incredibly embarrassing for me when I'd go out to play golf with my coworkers. I'd always be the guy that was holding everyone up until it finally got to the point where I'm just like, you know what, you guys play, I'll be in the cart drinking beer. And that just wasn't that wasn't great. It wasn't a lot of fun, and it was just super embarrassing, and I'm a hyper competitive person, and so I just hated that. And so finally what I did is I really dug down, worked on this, broke down my game into step-by-step systems, worked on this in a methodical manner, and within a summer, I had cut my golf score in half, right? I'm making this up. I didn't actually do that. My golf game is still very terrible, but that's essentially what the story is. You're not going to go into step-by-step details. You're just going to tell this story, and then you're going to spend a little bit of time after you tell your story. You're just going to paint a picture of how great life is without that problem. So staying on the golf analogy, it's like now, my buddies want to go out and play golf. I'm pumped to go with them. I'm not the one who's holding the group back anymore. Typically, it's someone else. I'm able to have a lot of fun. And I also have a great hobby that gets me outside that I can enjoy with pretty much anyone, and that it's a game that I'm going to be able to play the rest of my life, right? And so that's going to be just painting a picture of how great life is without this problem. And then lastly, the last 5 minutes or so of the video call, you're just going to tell them how you can help them, right? And for the purposes of this video, the way that you can help them is with your course. And so you're gonna say, hey, what I've done is I've really listened to a lot of you. It sounds like a lot of you are having this problem. Had a bunch of, I've had friends ask me, family, colleagues ask me how I actually was able to improve my golf game in such a short amount of time. What I've actually done is I've put together a step-by-step roadmap and kind of my step-by-step training plan that anyone can follow to take you from, struggling at golf, embarrassed of your game, to a very competent golfer in as little as a summer, right? Whatever your course is, whatever the promise of your course is, which is, again, to solve that problem. You're just going to say, I created this thing. If you're interested in it, here's how to get it. And then you're just going to give them the link to your order form. And, if you have 1,000 people on your list, I would expect anywhere from 10 to 20 of the people on your list will pay you between $500 to $2,000 for your course. Again, assuming you're actually solving a problem that they care about. And so this is a step-by-step process on how to launch your course from scratch, no audience, no nothing, to $10,000 in a matter of a few months. Now, will this process work to cold traffic? Absolutely not. There's far more complexities that come into play when you're trying to create a course and launch it to cold traffic and creating those marketing and sales systems. But this will work to your own audience because your audience knows you, they like you, they trust you, they believe in what you have to offer, and so they're going to give you a lot of grace. And so this is the way that you want to actually test whether or not the course you're creating is valid, assuming you can sell, $5,000, $10,000 worth of your course to your own audience. Then you can actually think about, first of all, delivering to your own audience, getting them great results because you're going to use that for your marketing to cold traffic. And then you can think about actually scaling that up to cold traffic and really scaling this course as far as you want to take it. And there's so much more into it. In that process, I'm going to be covering that in a lot greater depth in future videos. But building your audience, taking the time to build your audience, talking about where you're at, which will attract an audience of people who are a few steps behind you. Remember, going back to that concept of relative expertise, and then just talking to them about their problems, creating a solution to that problem, hopping on a video call, talking about the problem, telling your story about how you solved it, painting a picture of how great life will be after that problem is solved, and then just telling them how you can help them out. That's all you need to do to sell your first course to $10,000 plus to your own audience. And so if you got value out of this video, it would mean the world to me if you subscribe to my channel, leave a comment below with what you thought. And I'm also going to be taking the outline of this, the step-by-step process, because there were quite a few tactics in this video. I'm going to be taking the step-by-step process, putting it in a PDF format for you so that you can kind of have this and follow through this and track through it. If you want to get access to that, there's a link down below in the description to get access to that so that you can take this to launch your own course to $10,000 starting from scratch. That's all I've got. Take care.